Hello everyone, this is Mr. S, and today we're going to be finding square roots. So we talked a little bit in class about what square roots are, but I also want you to write down this definition. The square root of a number is the factor that we can multiply by itself or square to get that number. So an example are all of these. Example of a square root are all of these different equations that I also want you to write in your notebook. So for example, a square root 1, the square root of 1 equals 1, that's easy. But the square root of 4 equals 2 because 2 to the second power, or the square, 2 squared, or 2 times 2 equals 4. And that same thing works for here. 3 times 3 equals 9, so the square root of 9 equals 3. 4 times 4 equals 16, so the square root of 16 is 4. 5 squared equals 25, and the square root of 5 equals 5. 6 squared equals 36, and the square root of 36 equals 6. And so on and so forth. I basically did our whole entire times tables to your 12 times tables. And the reason why I did this is because while we were doing our homework, you will literally have a cheat sheet and answer key for you right here. I did this last year with the 8th graders. I think it's a good idea for have all 8th graders just write down all of the basic square roots in their notebook. However, it does get harder than this. But let's start with our first example. So example, oh, I did not write that right. Example, I just want to fix up the way I wrote that. Example 1, finding, I'm going to put SR, which stands for square roots. So example 1 is going to be finding the square root, or the SR, which means square root in this scenario. So basically, a question that your homework might ask is find the two square roots, of 49. So I see the number 49 and I'm thinking, that number 49 is a multiple of 7. So let's go to our 7 square roots. So the square root of 49 is in fact 7. However, it says find the two square roots of 49. So we know that the 1 square root of 49 equals 7, but do we know that another square root of 49 can also be negative 7? Because think about it, negative 7 to the second power equals negative 7 times negative 7, and negative 7 times negative 7 equals positive 49. So therefore, the square root of 49 can either be 7 or negative 7. And in that same exact way, if let's say we want to find the square root of 36, we'll find 2 squares of 36. What do you think the 2 squares would be? It would obviously be 6 and also be negative 6 because of that same exact idea. I'm going to do the square root of, let's do negative 25. So think about it. What do you think is the square root of negative 25? If you said negative 5, that is correct. So be careful because that's negative 5. And let's say we have to find the square root of 64. However, there might be a sign in your homework that looks like this, where it's a plus and then an underline underneath it. That means just like how our first answer could be positive or negative, for this answer, it could also be positive or negative. So what's the square root of 64? Let's see our chart. Where do I see 64? Yep, 64. The square root of 64 is 8. So therefore, this answer can either be positive 8, or literally in your homework, you're going to put or negative 8. Easy peas, lemon squeeze. All right, so, but that's only the scenario. For these, you could put both the positive and negative answer when it specifically asks for 2. For these, I was just more so finding the square root, like the simple square root. That's all I was doing for these 2. So just find the simple ones. So for the try yourself section, I want you to find just the simple square roots of these 3 numbers. I want you to find it for positive 4. I want you to find the simple square root of positive 4 of negative 81 and of positive and negative 144. I want you to do that for me really quickly. So I want you to pause there right now. 3, 2, 1, pause. And by now, you should have already found all 3 of these answers. So really quickly, the square root of 4 obviously is, using our chart, it would equal 2. The square root of negative 81 would obviously equal negative 9. And the square root of 144 would equal 12. However, it will be, for this, because it's a plus and a negative sign, it would either be positive or it would be negative 12, just like that. So if you got all 3 of these correct, just give them all a check, check, check. But if you got one of them wrong, make sure you fully understand why. Make sure you go back to our guide. And now let's go to example 2. So for example 3, we're going to continue finding the square roots, but we're going to find the square root and basically in rational numbers like fractions and decimals. Like say for example, we have 9 over 16. So we know that the square root of 9 equals 3. And what's the square root of 16? 4. So that's literally our answer. So if they ask you what the square root of 9 over 16 is, it's 3 over 4. Easy peas. Let's do another one. Let's say we need to find the positive and negative square root of 2.25. So this one's a little tricky because we don't really know anything. We know the square root of 25 is 5, but we don't know what the square root of 1 is. So this is where you can play around with the different decimals on your like square the different decimals, like what's 1.1, 1.2, square the different decimals on your calculator. But you could also just use the square root function on your calculator. So for right now, I don't have a scientific calculator at my house where I'm recording, so I can't show you exactly how, but in class I could definitely show you, or you could just kind of tinker with the calculator a little bit and try to figure it out yourself, easy peas. But if we had to square this 2.25, it would equal 1.5, because 1.5 squared equals 2.25. However, the full answer would not be 1.5. It will be positive 1.5, and also it will be negative 1.5. I'm gonna put an or there, or negative 1.5. So the reason why is because 1.5 squared equals 2.25. That's why I was saying sometimes you could kind of tinker with the calculator and put in a bunch of different numbers and get the right one. But I would much more recommend using the square root function on the calculator. I want to go over, actually this is not hard and we have more sets to cover, so I want you to do one all by yourself. I want you to find the square root of these 2 numbers. It should be pretty easy. I want you to find the square roots, the positive and negative square root of 4 over 25, and also just the square root of 12.25. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to pause and do this all by yourself. Pause in 3, 2, 1, pause. All right, so by now you should have already answered both of them. So for 4 over 25, we know the square root of 4 equals 2. And the square root of 25 equals 5. So, but is this the full answer? No. It's also negative 2 over 5 because we're looking for the positive and negative. And now we're going to find the square root of 12.25. So unfortunately, I don't have a scientific calculator in Mikasa. So I hope that you plugged this straight into the calculator and found the correct answer, which should be 3.5. So I hope you plugged it into the calculator. So you should have plugged this into the calculator and gotten the answer 3.5, because 3.5 squared equals 12.25. So if you got both of these answers, give yourself a big check. If not, I hope you guys just watched it back or really worked around with the calculator to find the correct answer for this one. All right, let's go on to our next example. We're doing example 4, expressions with square roots. So I'm going to show you what exactly I mean by that. So for our first, we're going to do 5 times the square root of 36. Just know whenever a number is right next to a sign, this is actually called a radical, by the way. When it's right next to the radical or parentheses, that means that you're going to be multiplying it. So it's 5 times the square root of 36 plus 7. So this is pretty easy. I feel like you can honestly do this by yourself, but we're going to do it together. So first things first, we want to find out what the square root is. So I'm going to put 5. And what is the square root of 36? If you said 6, I would be very proud. It'll be 6 times 6 plus 7. Easy peas. So 5 times 6 equals 30. Bring down the plus 7. 30 plus 7 equals 37. Easy peas. That is our answer. Now let's keep on going. Let's turn up the heat a little bit. For our next question, we're going to do 1/4 plus the square root of 18/2. So yeah, I know this looks like really scary just off the bat, but trust me, it's not. Even me, I had to pause the video and be like, wait, how do you answer this? But I was like, oh, this is really easy. So what you're going to do is first we need to find the square root. So we're just going to bring over this 1/4, which we're going to use later. And something that we can see is we don't know what the square root of 18 is or the square root of 9 is. However, what if I just do this math? What if I do 18 divided by 2? 18 divided by 2 equals 9. But we do know what the square root of 9 is. What is the square root of 9? If you said 3, I'll be a very happy teacher. It is 3. So therefore, all we have to do now is just add them together. Add this whole number to this. So we could do the whole entire song and dance where we give this 3 a denominator of 1 and then multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number to make it be 4, blah, 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 blah. But if we have a scenario like this where it's 1/4 just plus 3, our answer would just boil down to being 1 and 3/4. So that is our full answer. Let's do another one, shall we? Let's say we want to do, these ones are kind of crazy. Let's say we want to do the square root of 81. Ooh, but they square on the outside. I like that. That's kind of cool. Minus 5. So let's go ahead and answer this. So I'm going to answer this one in steps. So what is the square root of 81? 9. However, it's still being squared and still minus 5. But what is 9 squared? 81. And the 81 minus 5 equals 76. Easy peas, lemon squeeze. So these are all very easy, and now let's jump straight into the try it yourself. For the try it yourself section, I want you guys to do 2 easy ones. I want you to do 12 minus 3 times 20 times the square root of 25. And then I want you to do the square root of 28/7 plus 2.4. Both really easy ones, both very easy to answer. So I want you guys to try that all by yourself. I want you to pause the video and do it all by yourself in 3, 2, 1, pause. All right, so by now you should have answered both these questions, which are very easy. So let's go ahead and answer this one. So for this one, we first had to find the square root of 25, which obviously is 5. So it's 12 minus 3 times 5. Very similar to the first one we did, but not exactly it. So what is, then we just a simple matter of PEMDAS. What is 3 times 5? Oh, 15. Let me see something. Yep. So it's 15. I just had to check the answer was correct. So it's 15. And then what's 12 minus 15? -3. So that's our answer. And let's go ahead and answer this one. So I don't know what the square root of 28 or of 27 is. However, I do know that 28, what is 28 divided by 7? That's going to equal 4 plus 2.4. And I do know what the square root of 4 equals. What's the square root of 4? Oop. It is 2. So 2 plus 2.4 equals 4.4. And that is our answer. So if you got both of these answers correct, just give yourself a nice check. If not, I want you to really watch the video over. I say this all the time, but I really want you to watch the video over and see exactly what you might have gotten wrong, see how the teacher got it right. Okay, so let's go on to our very last example. It's going to be example 4. And it's going to be square roots in algebra. Fun. We're gonna do x squared equals 81. So this one's a very easy one, but you have to be careful because we want to get x by itself, but however, right now x is being multiplied by x. So what do you think is the opposite of a square? What is the opposite? Oh, wrong paper. What is the opposite of a square? the square root. The opposite of multiplying a number by itself is finding the square root of that number. So in order to find the answer, in order to find out what this 81 is, we had to find the square root of both sides. So as you can tell, when you square a number and then find the square root of that squared number, it just undoes it. And to see that happen in real time, the square root of 81 is 9. So x equals 9. And think about it, x squared equals 81. So that would make the sentence true. That would be 100% correct. However, let's say we don't get a question that's as easy. I really hope you guys understood that. But let's say we don't have a question that's as easy and we get a harder question. Let's say we have 3 times a to the second power equals 48. So don't fret, don't fear. All we have to do is just follow our algebra steps. So of course, we want to get the variable by itself. So first we have to chop off all the other numbers that might be on the side of the variable. So it's 3 times a squared. So let's get rid of this 3. Since it's being multiplied by the a, what do you think you're going to do on both sides? You're going to divide it by 3. You're going to do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. So these cancel each other out, and then 48 divided by 3, you could plug that into your calculator, but if you don't know, 48 divided by 3 equals 16. So now we have a squared and 16. So obviously, what are we gonna have to do to find out what a equals by itself if it's squared? We have to find the square root. So the square root of a squared is just a. And what's the square root of 16? 4. Very, very good job. So yeah, these are pretty easy. Honestly, they're not hard at all. Yeah. So here's what I want you to do for me. I'm like, should I give you guys a really hard one? Yeah, I'm gonna give you guys a hard one. I'm gonna throw a really big curveball to you guys. I'm gonna do k squared equals 169. And then I'm going to do, I'm going to give you guys really hard ones, but I'm going to show you guys how to find the answer. Oh, my bad. It's going to be 190 equals 4b squared minus 6. I'm not giving you guys these hard ones to terrorize you guys. It's because I know that you're that smart, and these are the type of questions that you're going to be getting on the homework. All right. So I want you guys to pause this video and try to answer these by yourself. If you really don't understand it, then you could just play and watch me answer them. But I feel like you guys are smart enough to answer these. So I want you guys to try it and pause in 3, 2, 1, pause. Okay, so by now you should have already answered both of these questions. So for this one, this was a little bit easier, but not necessarily, because if you might have noticed, 169 is not on our cheat sheet. However, as you may have noticed, 144 is less than 169. So we just had to keep on going. Or you could have just plugged 169 into the square root section of your calculator. So let's go ahead. So obviously, in order to find out what k equals, we have to find the square root of k squared and also the square root of 169. So we know that this is going to equal k, but we don't know what the square root of 169 is. So let's plug it into our calculator, but for me, it's going to be Siri. Hey Siri, what's the square root of 169?
The square root of 169 is 13.
13, as I thought it was going to be. So k equals 13. So as you might have imagined, square roots don't just end at 12. They keep on going to 13. 13 times 13 equals 169. So the square root of 169 equals 13. It keeps on going and going and going and going until the end of numbers. So there's thousands and hundreds and millions of different square roots out there. It's just I want to cover the major 12, the first 12 in our multiplication tables. So now let's answer this second question. So we have 190 equals 4b to the second power minus 6. So I really hope you guys tried your best with this. So of course, we want to get the variable all by itself. So we're going to chop off all these other ones. The first one I'm going to start with is get rid of this minus 6. So I'm going to add 6 on both sides. So that's going to equal 196 equals 4b squared. And then what do you think I'm going to do next? I'm going to divide 4 on both sides. So obviously these cancel each other out and it's going to be b squared, and then I'm going to use my my calculator or my handy dandy Siri to find out what's 196 divided by 4. Hey Siri, what's 196 divided by 4?
196 divided by 4 is 49.
Is 49. And then in order to get b by itself, you're going to find the square root of b squared, and also the square root of 49. So the square root of b squared equals just b, which is our answer, which is what our answer is going to equal. And then the square root of 49, what do you think that is? 7. So b equals 7. So 7 is our answer. Hope you guys learned all about how to find square roots, and I hope you guys have a great day. God bless.